What do you consider a design flaw of the human body? The human body is so perfectly designed in that every muscle, tendon, and ligament moves in unison and flows organically. However, one slight tweak to this perfect system causes a chain reaction of issues. Step wrong? Throw out your lower back. Throw out your lower back? Walk funny and strain your upper back. Strain your upper back? Messes up your neck and shoulders. And so on. I'm 41, and my entire spinal system has been a mess since I was 16, and I pinched my sciatic nerve trying to grab a hairbrush off a nightstand and didn't rotate my knee and foot with my hip. Hair in between butt cheeks. I mean, we don't need them nor have them when we were kids, right? So why do we need them now? When I searched about it on the internet, it says the purpose of it is to lessen friction or for both of the butt cheeks to avoid scraping each other when we move. I find that kind of weird since I was very much more active as a kid and never developed some kind of rash there. I just can't see the purpose of it. Lol. The human body as a whole is a design flaw. Our spines are susceptible to life-altering injuries. Our trachea and esophagus are literally right next to each other, meaning we can easily choke on food or aspirate our beverages simply by breathing at the wrong time. Even our own immune systems are flawed to the point where with the right trigger it can start attacking various parts of our bodies from the inside. The interaction between bipedality, big heads and childbirth. Babies are born half-baked and are totally useless for years, because more developed brains wouldn't be able to pass a narrow pelvis caused by being bipedal. A better plan would be to have babies like marsupials get the baby born as a tiny grub, grow in a pocket until it was more able to care for itself, something like 3-4 years toddler. Our main airway and blood supply is easily accessible. Only 2 sets of teeth to last our entire life compared to some animals that can simply regrow them as needed. A hard sneeze or cough can throw our backs out, rendering us useless for days or even weeks. We can simply sleep wrong and be sore the entire next day. We can suffocate ourselves while eating, though this is most animals. Weak ankles, the more innocent ones, stretch marks. This one comes to mind because I've always thought it's an obvious design flaw. You don't even necessarily only get them from getting fat, just merely growing up as a teen is enough. Or growing another human being. On the topic of growing another human being, our head to birth canal ratio is way off. I'm sometimes really happy I never managed to stay pregnant. This is such an interesting topic. The human body is an incredible machine, but it's not without its quirks and flaws. I particularly agree with the point about teeth. It's strange that we only get 2 sets in a lifetime. Also, the idea of photosynthesizing like plants is amusing but thought-provoking. Imagine how different our lives would be if we didn't have to worry about food. I think the way trauma changes our brain could be considered. Unsafe situations triggering your fight or flight makes sense if your deer in the bushes are moving around, like that one time you almost got eaten. But I don't think that the same response is necessary when my friend is acting a little different and I'm convinced they hate me and they're going to abandon me. Or enamel and teeth erodes relatively easily if you don't take immaculate care. Cochlear hairs can be irrevocably damaged by one loud noise, giving permanent hearing loss. Only one organ too, if you want to be pedantic, and CAT scan can repair itself if damaged. These are all things that should fix themselves, and can have everlasting effect when damaged at an early stage. I saw someone give this answer to a similar question a while ago: redundancies. In the sense that, apparently, a dog's cardiovascular system has a number of redundant pathways, thereby greatly reducing their chance of a heart attack. On the other hand, humans largely have a single major artery in any given direction, meaning if that gets clogged, that's pretty much it. Allergies. Malfunctions in the target detection part of the immune system? Sometimes harmless things, pollen, are detected as pathogens and a strong reaction is initiated against them. Sometimes actually dangerous things, the toxins that bees or other stinging bugs inject, are severely overrated and the reaction is extremely strong, often self-destructive, despite being so fragile and prone to failure. It's incredibly important for us and key to us basically just living, but it's very easy for it to get fucked in ways that can make it nearly impossible to live your life normally. And it doesn't even take much. If you're tall, you can get screwed just from being tall due to the weight and pressure on it. The human brain. It's designed like a Koenigsegg or Ferrari when the world needs Toyotas. In the sense that if everything is hunky-dory, it's a frickin' supercar compared to the competition. However, if one tiny component is out of spec, then the whole thing goes out of control and can self-destruct. Fuck you bipolar! Fuck you mental illness! Our eyes don't give us the greatest vision, in some respects. They're amazing of course, But look at the mantis shrimp, this bad boy can see both UV and polarized light, two things that we can't. Owls have incredible night vision compared to us, eagles have incredibly focused vision allowing them to see much further compared to us. The pain that comes with childbirth. If our goal as a species, biologically speaking, is to reproduce, why make the whole process so painful and therefore less desirable? I know that a lot of parents say that it's worth it, and I believe them, but I still think that it's kinda weird from a biological angle, you know? The human body can survive a shocking amount. I heard a story of a girl whose head was so close to falling off, she had to hold her head in place as she walked to find help. But the tiniest germ and the smallest paper cut can mean life or death. Also, cancer. My own cells can turn against me? Like, excuse me, certain pain. Pain can be good as a survival mechanism. But parts of the human body can make you experience such immense levels of pain that it stops being a valuable sensor. Toothaches, for one, can paralyze the body and seize all other activities, even sleep. That's not a good thing in any way. That our food, water and our air intake end up two separate places, one of which absolutely cannot afford food in it, go down the same pipe with one valve separating them. Water occasionally slips by this flap and we spend like 20 minutes coughing and or hiccuping whatever little bit of moisture out. Women's menstrual cycles would be so much better if the blood was taken to the colon, liquid removed, which the colon does to digested waste anyway and just passed as feces. Or better yet, the body keeps the blood flow through the uterus so there's no need to bleed and then replace blood at all. If boobs are too big, then back problems can, not will, but can happen. I know it's a case-by-case thing between women, not every large-breasted woman will have problems, but what the heck is the point of having huge breasts if the lady in question's back can't withstand the weight? Not limited to humans, but this thought has always bothered me. If one can't swim or gets too tired, the body naturally sinks and you drown. After a little time in this state, you fill with gases and now you float to the top where you wanted to be all along to survive. Sucks. The lungs placement. It's known that when we breathe deeply into our stomachs, we have less stress, and on autopilot breathing usually is at least partially into the chest. I have anxiety, so I've wondered if the lungs were in the stomach if I'd have less anxiety. Lol. Anaphylactic allergic response. I was going to say allergies, but I don't exactly mean hay fever. You can develop a new allergy out of the blue, like bee stings, and then your own body is trying to kill you. Anaphylaxis means swelling up to the point where you can't breathe. Most animals poop quite cleanly. Cats and dogs, for example. Walking upright and being so dependent on our leg muscles gave us huge butts in comparison to other species. Poop literally can't fit through. That's why we need to wipe so often. Then butts. A lot of humans appear to be overly sensitive. They will see another human be the victim of a shooting or car accident and they become overcome with some sort of emotion. It is like their rational brain shuts off and they cannot function. It is mental weakness. Toenails, like why, you hit them and lose a nail, it's gross. Would we really suffer if our toe just bruised like every other part of our body? It's not like they are useful nails either, I can't pick my nose with them or anything really, they are just useless. Women's menstrual cycles. I have thought for a long time that this seems like such an inefficient process. Like, why hasn't evolution phased that out? Lol, why can't women just ovulate and have eggs on standby without the monthly shedding of the lining? Our teeth suck. They're literally so damn weak, and you could literally have the most perfect routine and still get cavities or something else wrong. Wisdom's teeth especially, like, WTF is the point of them growing on my head if they're not gonna be useful? Our backs are awful. They were not designed to be fully upright, which is why a lot of people get pain from compressed discs. I had spine surgery from one of the top spine surgeons in the USA and he told me 5 years ago. 75 of back pain is a mystery. The neck. It's so vulnerable and completely exposed. So many different ways you can die that involve the neck. Breaking the neck can be lethal, having the carotid artery cut can be lethal, strangulation, decapitation. It should have more protection. Our eyesight can be considered a design flaw, especially as we age. Many people need corrective lenses, and our eyes are prone to conditions like nearsightedness and farsightedness. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't always get things perfect. The human spine is an absolutely terrible design. It was never meant to be vertical or bear weight, it was meant to be flexible. So here we all are with lower back pain from torturing the poor little jelly discs between our vertebrae. Not only in the human body but most of animals. Why is the neck so important and so fragile? I don't think putting your most important blood vessel in a relatively thin cylinder protected only by skin is not the smartest decision ever. Painful bleeding for half the population once a month for 30-40 years of their lives. As a side effect of human fertility. Not the case with most other animals, there's no evolutionary reason why it should be so painful either. When you accidentally bite your cheek, the inside of it puffs up, making it so much easier to accidentally bite again for a second, third, and fourth time. But the biggest and good design of human body is a design which designed the God. The back of our eyes are laid out wrong with nerve bundles and blood vessels coming through the optic disc. This causes a blind spot vision that our brains have to fill in. Not sure if that's a design thing or more of a health one, but recently I find out my body can just decide to puke for no apparent reason. Gosh, there wasn't even any food in that, just some transparent liquid. Why? Oxygen and food going down the same throat hole, and only a small barrier that separates the path to the lungs or stomach. Most animals have a separate breathing and eating tube so they can't choke when eating. I reckon we should have evolved not to store fat since food cultivation became a thing. At best, starving when overweight is just prolonged and miserable, but you will still die, so chill with storing food. You get headaches when you're not getting enough food or sleep, but you can eat when it comes with nausea, and it usually does, or sleep because of the headache. It's like that scissors you have to cut open. I remember reading someone saying that walking upright is just fucking horrible for your back all the time, no matter what, and our entire lives are just one long attempt at limiting wear on our spines. I feel like noses are odd, who decided to put a protruding mass in the middle of our faces? Not to mention they can be funny and gross, right over the top of the hole where we consume our sustenance.